Do you know someone who's like a superhero to legal tech founders? Well, today, meet Miss Samridhi Jain. She's a legal content marketer and designer. Plus, she's a fourth year law student at Ramaiah College of Law, Bangalore. Want to know the difference between legal tech and technology law? Or interested in starting as a legal designer and marketer? Watch this episode till the end for all the scoop. Hello Samriddhi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for joining in. I'm so happy to see you. And in fact, more than happy, I'm excited and nervous because I know nothing about legal tech and legal marketing. So I'm gonna let you do all the talking today.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing to be nervous about, but yeah, I'm so glad that you invited me to speak.
Right. Samriddhi, starting
It's
with like you are juggling so many responsibilities being a fourth year law student. So could you please share with us the work that you have done outside of college?
Right. So I actually started off in legal writing, specifically in my first year of law school, which is when I actually started writing articles and people started reaching out to me on LinkedIn saying that they like my writing style and they wanted me to write for their law firm.
Right.
So that's when I started getting into commercial articles for law firms, started writing commercial articles for law firms. And slowly like legal tech discovered me. So it was on the way that I discovered legal tech through LinkedIn itself and a lot of mentors on the LinkedIn platform itself, which then gave me a gateway to, okay, there is legal tech. There are legal tech companies who also need sort of marketing services. So
Right.
I basically do marketing for the legal industry, which is doing personal branding for legal professionals, business development and marketing for law firms, as well as for legal tech companies. So that has been my journey from 2020 to now. I also started my own agency and hired a bunch of writers, but mostly I work solo.
You know what? Your journey is so inspiring, and we'll talk more about legal tech and legal marketing. But for now, let us break your journey into manageable parts. So, how did you decide to like pursue law first of all?
Oh, okay. That's a very interesting question because it was actually all by accident. I always wanted to do a BBA degree and get into international business and just go to Germany. That was the plan. But
Very
I
sorted,
ended up.
like want to do this and want to go there.
Yeah. That was like I had completely decided that, okay, I'm going to do international business in Germany because some of my cousins were doing it. And I was like, okay, this sounds really good. And I always wanted to get into business.
Hmm.
Um, but later, just 1 month before the CLAT in 2020, 2020 was also when the pandemic happened.
Right.
And it was just like an insane year. I did not give my 12th grade last exam, and then everything was shut. But I had 1 month before CLAT to prepare, and I was like, I don't even like. I self disqualified myself, but I still gave the exam. And I did a lot of research on BBA colleges actually, and then I applied to all the colleges in Bangalore. And in NLU, I did in one of the NLUs, I did get a rank, but it was not in the top five, and I didn't and I had made a decision that I didn't want to go if it wasn't the top five, right? Um, then so that was the beginning of how I got into law completely accidentally. But surprisingly, I absolutely enjoy whatever I do right now. And it's been one of the best decisions. Like, I wouldn't do anything otherwise. I'm so glad that this happened.
I don't know how all these accidental lawyers or accidental law students make the best. Like you are doing such an amazing job, and many of law students, like uh, people in our peer group, do not know. Like we are very confused on what we want to do and what we don't want to do. We are still trying to figure out how to navigate our career paths, and you are doing extremely well. So many congratulations on that, Samriddhi.
Thank you so much. Actually, in fact, what I try to also do with LinkedIn and the people that I meet is tell them that there are so many more options just beyond
Right.
corporate and litigation. Though my interests actually lie on both the ends, which is doing corporate work as well as doing legal marketing, which I'm already doing.
Right.
But I feel like there are so many more options now with legal operations. I'm sure we can discuss that. But there are so many more options right now if you want to choose a career, and you can choose and you can make it global. It doesn't you don't have to restrict yourself to India. You can also practice law in the UK, in Australia. You can go to Dubai. There are so many options.
Definitely. And as I'm talking to different people on this podcast, I'm getting to know even more options, like uh, a lot of
Yeah.
options that we did not have an idea about. So I'm glad that you're also speaking about it. But speaking about writing, so I'm not a person who's very interested in writing. I'm mooting kind of a person, like many other law students. So how do you approach legal writing, and how do you make it accessible for your clients?
All right. So I am no like I didn't know writing when I started writing. I had not written like a word in my life, like commercially. Of course, I used to do a lot of journaling back in 2018, but I was never like a writer that, someone would actually buy my words. Like that wasn't the kind of writer that I was.
And
I
today it
accidentally, like
seems
I told you.
very difficult to believe that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a compliment, so thank you. But seriously, I had no idea. And my first actually writing gig was not even in the legal industry. It came from the self-development space, which was a podcast based in the US, where they approached me to write podcast scripts on personal development and similar topics on mental health and things like that. I thoroughly enjoyed. I worked for them for a really long time, more than 6 months. And while I was doing that, I started exploring legal writing. So after I got into legal writing, I realized that uh, there are two different types of legal writing. One is academic writing, and the other is commercial legal writing.
Right.
One is where the first one is where you're writing academic journals, papers, and you're more oriented towards a side which is more academically oriented. Basically,
Right.
you're either doing it in your college or you're doing it as a part of competitions, etc. But when it comes to commercial legal writing, it is things that are going to be displayed on a law firm's website or like a legal service company's website, or say a lawyer has their own independent consulting, it will be displayed there, right? Or it could be, so for example, if it's a legal tech company, it could be different types of marketing materials like case studies, product guides, etc. Right? So these are two very different sort of spaces to get into. And I got into the commercial side of it instead of the academic because I believe that I did not have the intellect to even talk about certain things on the academic side. That's why I also believe that law students are not equipped to write research papers. It can be a controversial opinion, but I mean, if you've done your research for a long period of time, because we all rely on secondary research, right? None of us
Absolutely.
really go and do primary research, which is most of the times the point of a research paper. You want to add to the conversation that is going on about a particular topic. You don't want to just say what's already been said, right?
But that's what we are
I understand,
doing.
which I completely understand, like, is a part of the law school curriculum and all of that. I
Right.
mean, I could talk about legal education completely on like another podcast. But when it comes to this type of writing, the way I make it accessible is I've always had this motto through my writing that I want to make legal services accessible. Not in a way that I'm providing any kind of services, but through my writing, which is making it digestible. So what I also do is legal design, which is trying to simplify how legal information is presented towards the end customer. So it is not the legal industry, it is the end customer, like, people who are working in startups, or, the general consumers, like our parents who are not acquainted with the law as well as we are, right? Uh, so there are certain terms, like if you read, nobody reads a privacy policy, right?
Right.
We can all agree to that. So making that kind of information accessible, I've done that through legal design, and a lot of people are doing it. And when it comes to just plain writing, it just has to resonate with the people that you're writing for. So I always do in-depth customer research with any kind of client that I'm working with.
Very interesting. But how do you manage time? Because law school is very engaging and it takes a lot of time. So how do you manage your time?
So law school is engaging. So I don't do anything that law school really asks you to do. That's the reason I have time. So I certainly I did try moots. I tried doing research paper, which is when I realized research paper is not for me. And I have this opinion that it's not for law students. At least like in their first, second year, no, it's like a no-go. And I did moots. I like did not enjoy the process because it was such a long process. And then in the end, um, and mostly the topics are constitutional, which is not something that I really like. They're not mentally as challenging as I would like them to be.
Okay.
And then like when you're doing moods, you constantly need to do constitutional moods for a few years just so you can like get into corporate moods in the later years, which is a trade-off that I didn't want to get into. And a lot of people do it, which is amazing.
Right.
Which I mean, I completely respect that. But I am someone who's not I cannot do something like that. That is just not me. So I started exploring other things. And when I did explore this side, I realized there's a whole industry called business development, PR, marketing, and communications within the legal industry, and no one is talking about it. No one is doing it. I mean, a lot of people are doing it, but no one is talking about it
Right.
as a career option after you graduate, right? The only thing, like I told you, is corporate versus litigation. But that's not the case anymore. Like if you're going to graduate this year, next year, in the coming years, you need to really open up your mind to you need to really open up um mind space as to there are so many more options that you can explore. Certainly, if you're trying to make a decision financially, then you'll have to figure it out. But I think law school gives you a really good time to explore all of this. So I did explore all the things that college asks you to do, and I did not enjoy most of it. Some things, yes, I did, writing articles. So I still continue to write articles on legal topics, and I enjoyed writing. So I just picked up things that I liked. So, and there's also one more thing that, a lot of law students are told in their first year of law school that, just chill, don't experiment. I mean, not don't experiment, but, just chill basically. But I would certainly not give that advice because I would say do as much as you can, because this is the time when you have a lot of energy and a lot of time. Because first year
Enthusiasm,
is
most importantly.
exactly, absolutely. So I think that's the period when you try all the things, right? Of course, don't try everything in like 1 year, but like, do a lot of things to figure out what you ultimately want to do. I think that's a great thing. And don't just do things in corporate and litigation, but try legal operations, legal design, legal writing, marketing, business development. And now there's journalism, media, like with the upcoming bar and bench
Right.
live platforms, and there are so many more that are coming into the space, right? And you can become a legal tech founder. You can solve for legal problems in the industry. There are so many.
Yes, recently there was one startup company on Shark Tank India, I think, on
Yes.
mediation thing. So, absolutely. First, when we enter the law school, we think it's a 5 year course. We have time to chill and figure out. But then, uh, legal career gives you so many opportunities. Like if you want to explore everything, 5 years would definitely fall short if you really want to explore.
Yeah.
And not doing moots have certainly worked for you. It's not really
Yeah.
uh, in general trend is such that you have to moot, you have to write research paper. Either of it is very important. Like if you're not doing either of these, then you are considered to be a dull student or someone who has nothing to add in your
Yeah.
CV. But it has worked pretty
Unfortunately.
well for you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like internships are valued more, as far as I've spoken to a lot more people, that mood certainly and research papers certainly show that you're a really hardworking individual. But I think internships certainly do have more of an impact, even when I've spoken to partners or say
Get
even
into
associates.
to get into a law firm as an intern, you need to have a CV which shows that you have some, like you have done competitions and all. But
Yeah, for sure.
I certainly agree that yes, internships do hold more value.
Right. Yeah, of course. I feel like moods are a gateway. Like at least in the initial years when you don't have anything, moods certainly are a way to show your interest in a particular area, or research papers are a way to show that interest. I'm just talking about like later years when they value internship experience or you working on a contract more than say
Right.
you doing a mood. But I still feel like moods are valuable and you should do it if that's something
If you
that you
enjoy.
enjoy. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So, Samriddhi, how do you see the interaction of technology and law shaping the future of legal practice, especially with AI coming into the picture?
Okay, yeah, that's actually an interesting question because I just attended a legal tech meetup on
I did
Sunday.
see your post on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and we had great conversations. We actually spoke about the hype versus the real impact of AI in
Right.
the legal profession because AI has taken a really big AI has like taken the legal profession a leap forward. And if you look at a lot of developments abroad, which is in the US and the UK space, or even in other countries, specifically in the US, has been more than India. But India is now growing in terms of how they're adopting technology, how the legal industry is adopting technology. So I think the interaction between legal and tech is only going to increase. And there's actually a difference. So a lot of people do not know the difference between legal technology and technology law. So
Absolutely.
technology law is the laws that are related to the tech world, basically. So a Data Protection Act and things like that. But when it comes to legal tech, it is technology for the legal industry, which means that it simplifies the way a legal professional works. So, for example, you can automate certain tasks like, writing emails or just using, it's basically the use of any kind of technology. The technology that we are using right now is Zoom, right? You probably use Notion, you use Excel, Word. But these are technologies which go a step beyond and also deal with automation of contracts, automating contract review, also doing a lot of document management, ensuring that your matter is managed in, say, a law firm or if you're working in a chamber. So a lot of different aspects in within the technology space, within the legal tech space. Um, and where I see this going because of AI is that AI just accelerated all of this because
Right.
like what we would assume would happen in the next 10 years can happen in the next 2 years, right? And everyone's betting on AI. And a lot of law firms have also started their own initiatives. Like if you look at a lot of the tier one firms or even the smaller boutique firms, they have started their own like innovation initiatives or technology initiatives. There are incubators. Then there are people who are working towards building tools within their own firms so that they can start supporting their own firm and then release that product into the market to get more people working because especially in the legal industry there are so many concerns. The biggest one is security. Like nobody wants their data to sort of go somewhere where it's not going to be protected. So yeah, this is where I see going. This is where I see the tech market going, and AI has just made it like 100 times faster.
Absolutely. And to break it down for our audience, SCC and Manupatra, all these kind of software and other things, these are legal tech. And when we talk
Right.
privacy and other like technology laws is something which is applicable in every as like every sector.
Yeah, right. So technology law would be something similar to say mergers and acquisitions. So there's a
Hmm.
law on mergers and acquisitions. Similarly, there's law on technology, which is the IT Act, which is the Data Protection Act, and that governs how all of this legal tech will be regulated. So
Right.
it's like the yeah,
Thank you so much for breaking it down. And
yeah.
could you share an experience you're proud of when working with legal tech clients?
Right. So I think there have been a few, but I'll share an experience which was with a small law firm based in the US.
Okay.
This was long back actually, but it was a proud moment for me because I didn't expect something like that to happen. So they did not have like a budget in terms of doing their marketing. They had a small budget, but they wanted to really grow in terms of bringing leads and getting more clients. So I was told to write a few articles, but internally I knew that just a few articles will not give them like the
Hmm.
clients and the kind of reach that they are
The
looking
boost
for.
they want.
Exactly, yes.
Hmm.
So I decided that I'll create a marketing strategy for them, which is which was primarily targeted on social media and through their email marketing campaigns.
Hmm.
I did that, and they ended up getting a lot of clients within the next 2, 3 months, and then they onboarded me as a part-time role. So I feel like that not even getting the part-time role wasn't the proudest part. The proudest part was me just bringing me being able to bring them business, which was a fantastic feeling. And then you get to showcase that example to your future clients as well, which is obviously nice.
Right. And they got very lucky to
Yeah.
hire you. And how can legal professionals use LinkedIn to, build a professional and personal brand?
Right. I think LinkedIn is like the go-to place for legal
Absolutely.
professionals if I have to, and it's not just about, announcing a career update or saying that, I'm humbled to announce, or, all of that. Like, you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to be extremely professional. It's a platform where you can share your experiences and your journey throughout the legal profession. And I can certainly understand if, people are hesitant to do that, because it's not easy to put yourself out there. It's
Right.
in fact one of the hardest things that people face, and people actually go to mentors to talk through, how they can overcome their fear of talking, like speaking. Able to get that guidance from certain mentors, then they come and they're able to speak on the platform, right? But most of them do not have mentors, so they look forward to content from people who are promoting
Right.
personal branding services, right? So that's how I ended up working with a lot of legal professionals who wanted to talk about what they did. And I personally provide a lot of free advice on the platform, which relates to how you can present yourself on the platform, which is share updates if you're going to attend an event. Or, I'm sure every legal professional on the platform has some sort of experience, right? Even if you're
Absolutely.
just even if you've just graduated, you have 5 years of law school experience that you've had. So I think you can start sharing that, because I feel in the coming times, it's going to be like LinkedIn is the platform for you to network, especially for people. I see a lot of people complaining about, they did not get into an NLU, or they do not have a family background in litigation, right? But that does not matter. I mean, so it might certainly, of course, because you are at a disadvantage, but you have other ways to remove that disadvantage, which is LinkedIn. Like, biggest
Yes.
space is LinkedIn, right? You of course have Instagram, where you can like do a completely different thing. You have legal influencers talking about legal topics, and are able to provide legal services through where you are able to leverage all of the experience that you've had and share it with the world. And slowly people will get to know who you are, and that's how you will build your brand. So it's not rocket science. It is very simple. It's just sharing your experiences. What ends up happening is most people don't do this consistently over a period of time. And if you do it, people are able to see your journey. Say, if you do it from law school, people are able to see your journey from a law student to say, whatever you become 10 years down the line. And you've encapsulated all your experiences on the platform, which is a great thing to have, right? It's like just it's public documentation. Um and sometimes LinkedIn is not for everybody. A lot of people say that LinkedIn is not for me, but I personally feel that in the coming years, that is the only way to stand out, right? Maybe we have something new which comes up, where this is the going to be a new way to stand out. But for now, it certainly is LinkedIn, because it's a mix of professional and personal, where you can talk about both the things.
Absolutely, Samriti. In fact, LinkedIn was earlier used to be like a job hunting platform, but now it is
Yeah.
so much more than that. And big professionals, like really big people and professionals, do answer your questions. You can talk to them, you can network to them. And for first generation lawyers who complain about not having a background, or for students from private law institute who complain about not getting into an LU, can certainly bridge that gap.
Yeah, so I'm not from an NLU. I'm from a private college. I do not have a family background in law. I'm the first person who's going to be a lawyer. I'm not saying there's anything bad with having any of that. It's actually good. Like, if your parents are a part of the profession, use that opportunity, because that's the best thing, right? You just have access. So why don't feel like bad about it? And I see a lot of people shaming the other side as well, which is completely wrong. Like they cannot help, like if they were born into a family with legal professionals, right?
This nepotism debate has come into like altogether different level. But what's wrong in that? If you have some leverage, use it for the better.
Exactly. Because what are we trying to do as, say, a non-NLU student? What am I trying to do on LinkedIn, right? Why am I posting? To build leverage, right? To exactly do what they might have in some other form. And why am I attending events? Why am I being a part of conversations? Because I want people to see me that, okay, she's doing something or she's interested in some kind of opportunities. And to get noticed, that's how people know you, and people offer you either an internship or offer you a job or offer you an opportunity, right? And that's what we're all looking for. So say you're in an NLU, that's a good thing, right? Because you get in the top 5 or top 10 institutes of the country. What the problem that I have with this debate is classifying NLUs or classifying one class of people as better than the other, right? That you cannot measure that, right? Law firms have traditionally had a process of qualifying people, etc., right? Like we can go on about this, but I feel like you can't blame any of the side, and you can't blame yourself if you weren't born into a family without legal connections, or if you were not a part of the NLU system, right? You just have to figure out a way to work through your problems, because if you're just going to sit and complain, it's not going to help you. Neither is it going to help your career. So might as well.
Completely agree. And so, lastly, Samriddhi, from your experience in this field, what advice would you offer to fellow law students who aspire to pursue a career in legal marketing or legal technology?
Okay, so I'm someone who's I'm still not sure what I want to do. Because I have interest on the corporate side, which is M&A, private equity, technology law, and I also have an interest in legal tech, marketing, and writing. So I'm confused myself. So I'm not like a great person to give advice, but advice front on the options available are absolutely so many options. I feel like you need to evaluate those are options yourself based on your individual circumstances. Like it depends on what kind of things you want to prioritize few years down the lane in your career, right? So the advice that I would give to law students in general in law school would be to explore as much as possible, and keep a track of everything that's happening around you, right? It doesn't have to be every single thing. So first year could be where you're exploring a bunch of things, and then second year you narrow it down and pick a few other things, right? So you can understand, and then you leave a few things and pick a few other things in third year. By then you have some sort of idea that, okay, this is something that I like, and then in like the fourth year and the fifth year, start doing those things consistently, so then your CV reflects that. And one more biggest point is that never do things just for your CV. Like the half the things that I have done, like all of this experience, when I send my CV to a law firm, all the freelancing experience I've done is in 3 lines. I've done it for 3 years, but it's just in 3 lines, right? So never prioritize doing things just because it's going to look great on your CV, because that will not matter. What you know will matter. And you don't get a job in a law firm just because of a CV, right? They see your personality, they're going to interview you. So what you know matters more than what they can see. I understand that it's like the first step to getting into the firm, but I have seen people around me that, oh, I'll just do this internship and just put the certificate and, all that. We've all seen it, right? But I would suggest that you don't do that, but do it just out of curiosity. Like, you really want to understand what are the things that these people do. And when you go to internships, shadow people. Learn everything that you possibly can from the people around you, because they have a lot more experience and know a lot more than even doing the work. Just having conversations with them can teach you a lot more, actually.
Absolutely. But Samriddhi, if somebody really wants to start legal marketing, so what is the first step that you would advise them to take?
Right. So the first step that I would advise someone who wants to get into legal marketing, writing, or BD would be to find internships. There are a lot of people now. There are marketing agencies in India offering internships. There are also law firms sometimes that offer. I don't think law firms do, but maybe you can intern with their BD departments. But that might be a little harder to sort of get. So what you can instead do is use LinkedIn firstly and talk about whatever you have an interest in, and more than having an interest, talk about things that firms are looking for, or talk about things that people want services of. And build your portfolio. So building your portfolio is the first step, where say you're going to write 3 or 4 articles that talk about how can you build your brand as an M&A lawyer in India, right? So you could write a few articles on that. So then your target audience is going to be M&A lawyers. So you need to figure out who do you want to target, and you can use that. And for targeting someone, you can use a practice area that you might like. So later, if you want to shift, it's easier because you've built connections as well. So yeah, I'm not sure if everyone got that, but primarily understand who you want to, the audience that you kind of want to work with, then work backwards from there. Understand what are the kind of things they're looking for, build a portfolio, start posting on LinkedIn. You could use Instagram as well, might as well. And connect with these people, attend conferences, be a part of events as far as possible. And that's how you start. And of course, do internships in these places, because that will help you build a network in those places.
Right. Thank you so much, Samriddhi. It was really nice talking to you. And in fact, I got to know a lot of things about legal marketing and legal tech, which I had no idea about. So thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your insights and experiences with us.
Thank you so much.